Welcome back. This is going to be the last tutorial on Project 8, the Boulevard. Hopefully we'll wrap it up with some CS3 transitions. So I'm going to start on page 365 and we're going to restrict element height and overflow, which is going to really have a neat effect in here. So the very first thing we need to do is click on the very small one over here to get that set over here. And then there's a plus sign that we're going to click, which is right up top here. Click on that and you'll see a bunch of different options. We want the max width, but we could choose min width or min max. But really in this particular case, we want the max width over here. And we want 767. We don't want to create a new CS file. What we want is the design one. That takes care of that. And we're going to click on OK. And we'll see exactly what that does. Let's go to the design down over here. And at the very bottom, all it did was create a little media query that we can define some stuff in here. So you can see that on the bottom of page 365 and the resulting on the next page over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click in here. And I am not a big fan of hand typing things. I'm more of let's use the CS designer over here. So let's find that over here. Let me drag it in here. And make sure that we click on design over here. And we need to get out of the actual file over here. We're in the CSS file. So let's go to source code. And we want design. Remember, source code is not the actual source code. It's the actual file itself and not any of these things that are attached to it over here. So we have it over here. Notice it created a new global media for us. We could have tried something within here, but we had it done automatically. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a selector. We want to make sure we choose min width. And let's add selector. We don't want container. What we want is feature section. So we're going to type in feature section, and hopefully we can get it actually for us, which we have. And that takes care of feature section. So let's go to the CS design, and you can see it actually created it. So now what we need to do is we want to create a property. We want the max height, and we want an overflow. So max height is right over here. Make sure you use max height and not min height or min width. We want max height. And remember, you can always change it in there. So the max height, they want it set at 55 px. That's 550, so we don't want to do that. Let's go into the design code, and you can see it actually created it for us in here. And we'll go back to feature sections over here, and this way you can see it. We want the overflow, which is over here. That's overflow X, overflow Y. So let's, you know what? Let's just make a mistake. Let's just choose overflow X. And we'll make it hidden. And now we're done. Notice it says overflow X. Well, hey, we can just fix it right here and choose overflow. And now we're done. Let's go to live. And look what happened. Now, you won't see that in here. Let's go here. And we'll only see it in here because of the width of the screen is only 676, and that's what it does actually affect it on the max width over here. So what we need to do is we need to find a way. Now, if you take a look on number 5, it explains everything about overflow, but the auto is the one that gives you the little scroll bars, and we're using hidden right here. And we're reviewing it on number 6, and it tells us to save the files, which we're doing. Now comes the fun. CSS transition panel. You use jQuery and that allowed you in the other book to create a drop down from a tab or an accordion. We're going to do something different over here. We're going to use the CSS transition panel. It's really pretty easy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click the shopping H2, and then it wants us to find the div that's associated with it. That is number 2 in page 367. Going to open up the CSS transition panel. So we're just going to go to Windows and CSS transitions. And we have something right here. Very simple. And we're going to click on the plus sign to make one. So we have a target rule. The target rule is going to be feature section class. So you can use the drop down arrow and try to find it, or you can physically type it in. So I'm just going to physically type it in. The F isn't so bad because it would be in the beginning. However, if it was towards the end, it just might take forever to find it. That's number 5 in the target rule. And we want the transition on menu. We're going to choose hover. Remember, hover or hoover, depending on how you pronounce it. That means when your mouse is over something, not when it's clicked. All it needs to be is over it. Then we want the duration and the delay. Turning the page, I'm now on 368. So the duration, we want it to be 0.5 seconds. And we want the delay 0 seconds. And the timing is going to be linear. And we have linear. Awesome. Next thing we're going to do on the left, we're going to use the plus button in the properly, and we're going to choose max height. It's right over here. And we need to find max height, which is right here. And the end value. Turning the page, we want 999. Now, you cannot just click on it here. If you click on transition, it may give you a message saying you need a valid N1, which we did. So what you have to do is 999. Then you have to click here, and it automatically adds the PX for you. Then you can create the transition. So that takes care of that. And let's go into the design code. Go down at the very bottom, and you can see we had the max height in the overflow, but now we have a transitions in here. And all this is done for you automatically, and then we created a max height of 999, which is totally separate from here, and we're good to go. So let's, at this point in time, let's turn the page. Tells us to go to view, live option view, and hide live view displays. So we're going to go to view. Now, let me show you something. Let me be in code view. And if you go to view and you don't see live option view because we're in code view. If you click on split and go to view, now you see live view. If you click on live and you go to view, now you see live view. So if you don't see the live view options, then make sure that you are in live view. So then we're going to click on hide live view displays. Once I go down here, look what happens. It automatically opens things up. Done for you automatically. The last thing is to, besides saving it, the last thing is to export the site, which is actually the first thing you should do when you create a new site. So let's click on Manage Sites. This is the export button. And I already have one in here. So we'll just click on it here, click on Save. Yes, we want to override it. And that's it. That's all for this project. Hope that you have a good time working with it. There's a million different things that you can do to experiment. I totally encourage you to experiment with it and hope you have a great day. See you on Thursday.